everyone. I'm Michelle for those that does not know me very well. Um, I hope everybody had an exciting Father's Day. Um, my day today, um, each year at Father's Day comes easier and easier as I go more deeper in forgiving my father. Um, Many of you know that I suffered extreme trauma from my dad when I was little, sexual molestation. But I really ain't supposed to say that word, so I hope they don't take me down. um, it's very extremely hard to heal from being abused by your father, as I know many um, can identify with this fact. So I want to talk to you about how our mindset, what our thoughts, what we are dwelling on our thoughts has a lot to do in recovering from traumatic experiences. And I've been very successful especially in the last 5 years, but I've been working on my thought process for 10 years now. And the Bible tells us to take your thoughts captive, because that is the way Jesus showed us when he came down here to earth. He showed us how to take those thoughts captives. But many of us don't understand how that process actually works. And so I want to give you an example. Okay, I was born with a hole in my heart because my mother abused prescription drugs. And I had, I was contemplating, my mom and dad was contemplating with me having to have open heart surgery. I was about 18 months when I was put on digitalis because of fluid in my making it very hard to breathe. And I actually stopped breathing one time. And by the time I was 4 years old, I almost had to have open heart surgery, but miraculously, God closed my heart, which a lot of times are when we're born with a hole in our hearts, it does close up without surgery. So fast forward to 2006, I was diagnosed with a a genetic heart defect called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. That was in 2006, and at the same time, I had a lot of flashbacks coming back um, to me of just fragments of terror that I went through as a child, but it was really extremely hard to understand. And at the same time, I was dealing with this heart defect. And my life was a mess. My whole family's life was a mess. My children's life was a mess. My son and daughter at that time. And my husband was and is, but I'm divorced now, um, is an alcoholic. So I was very extremely fear at that time because I didn't feel like I could trust him to take care of me. So that recovery of the experiences I had with my heart being enlarged and having congestive heart failure, not being able to breathe, I went real fast into a serious condition, and I had two alcohol heart ablations in 2000, January 2007. I got a little better, and then I had another heart ablation in 2008. That is where they um, inject a catheter into your groin and up into your heart, and they inject ethanol into your heart. Go figure that. And so they go in, and I was actually awake, and I could see it on the screen as they was performing this procedure in the operating room, and I could see the little thingy going up into my artery and all. It was really, I can't even explain the experience that was. But what it does is when they inject the ethanol, when they get at the right target place and they inject that ethanol into the heart, it produces a mild heart attack, which in turn, in time, shrinks the part of the muscle that's too thick to where your blood flow starts flowing more so again. So I had to have it done again in 2008 because there again, my life was a mess, an extreme mess. I can't wait for my book to be published. Um, it could be a long process because of the avenue I'm taking to have it published. So I'm hoping it's going to be published by the end of this year. It might be next year. But it's called Reappearing Before Her Eyes, the Isabella LeBlanc story. I can't wait for y'all to read it because it'll help you understand where I go into details of the good parts of my life, but also, I mean, the bad parts of my life, but also the good parts. So my life wasn't all bad. So fast forward to 10 years ago, I divorced, and so I've been on my own for 10 years. In 2019, my heart started acting up again, but at least I got from 2008 to 2019, all that time, and I was doing pretty good. I was limited in what I could do, but I was still doing pretty good. And I developed in 2019 AFib, which the enlargement of the heart stretches out the electrical part, and so your electrical part of the heart is not firing and like it should. So I had a heart ablation in 2019, which was a horrific experience in itself. And then I got better. And lo and behold, in last year, I was trying to think about the date. It was just last year. Sometimes life can seem forever, can it? But so last year, I was having a lot more difficulties with my heart. And this time, it really wasn't my breathing I was having issues with. It was my just no energy, and so the last 10 years I had learned to change my mindset, my thoughts, and you do that through meditations. But religion will tell you, no, don't do meditations. You're going to open yourself up to the devil. We are terrorized in church by the devil and by going to hell, and that is not what God never intended, because God is pure love, pure love. And so once I started learning that and doing the meditations, when you do it more and more, you just get this tremendous peace down into your soul. It's freedom. That's what it is. It's nothing but freedom, and it's awesome. And I want to keep telling y'all as many times as I can for y'all to grasp this fact that when we go into our private closet, mine is my bedroom, or right here where I'm sitting at in the loft of my home, which I love this place. So you go inside. You just when you breathe, you take deep big breaths in and out, and that's the beginning of learning how to meditate. And then you can learn it more and more and go deeper and deeper. And if you don't have no fear in your thoughts, then you don't have to worry about opening no doors to any darkness or devils or whatever. But that's how I got through this. I I started having heart issues last year, um, January, and I was still exercising. I would just lay in bed and just build up my energy until I could exercise, because exercise is very important for your body. It's ridiculous to think that all we need to do is just live our lives, whether it's sitting in a chair or going about your business, and people don't realize the importance of exercising. I kept exercising, I kept my thoughts right, and I went through that in the most amazing way. And that's my passion, is for all of y'all to get it, to understand this. And is sort of it isn't a coincidence, but sort of weird that a person I've been following for a while now, I've been following many people on YouTube in regards to spirituality, but one of them is Lucas, and he just made a post about this. And I was tormented when I was a kid. I didn't realize I had flashbacks of this, of going into a Sunday school class and knowing there was something important I wanted to speak to my GA teacher, but then everything went blank. And I kept having that flashback would come up over and over and over throughout my life. And it's like, what the heck is this? I don't understand. And then when I was writing my novel the last 5 years, when you're typing out and you're writing, you're digging back into your soul and bringing up these emotions, the memories come back. And I remembered I tried to get help from the church, and I was told the pastor was told by my parents that I was lying and that I was mentally disturbed because I stuttered extremely, very much. And so, yeah, the pastor told me that if I didn't stop lying about this, I would go to hell. God never meant for us to be tormented by preachers preaching on hell and sin. And don't get me wrong, because Jesus did come down here. He died for us. He died for our sins, but we have a wrong perspective of looking at sin. And it's it's not having that connection with God that's inside of us. God is inside of us. We don't have to look outside externally look up into the heavens and say, God, where are you? We do that so much, don't we? I have. And God's inside of us. We reach him through meditation. So I want to read something that Ethan Lucas just posted, and I shared it on my timeline, and this just makes everything so clear of what I want to get through to everyone, because I want everyone to be whole and free like I have become. Because after going through what I have, it's the most amazing thing to have this sense of freedom. Okay, so Ethan writes, he is a ordained, ex ordained pastor, and he spent decades in researching the Greek and Hebrew language of the original Bible before sections of it was taken out. So he says, this is Ethan Lucas writing, if you don't die with Christ and receive Christ and resurrect with Christ while you're still alive, then when your body dies, you will come back to hell. You don't die and go to hell. You die and come back. Hell is a condition that you live in wherever you are, because hell is within you. Just like heaven is not a place. It's a spiritual state of being. It is all within you. It's not a physical location. There are many physical places you can incarnate in as a spirit being, but whether you experience heaven or hell within you, okay, or whether that place is a high vibe place or a low vibe place like earth, is all up to your spiritual condition. You can only incarnate in a place that matches the spiritual signature of your soul. We are not our bodies, y'all. We are not our mind. We are a spirit. And that's really been interesting to me to grasp. And Earth, or another planet just like it, is the lowest density place you can go when you die. And the good news is, it's up to you. The bad news is, it's up to you. He's amazing. Choose this day whom you will serve. And those who choose fear, Satan, and his fear-based religious ideologies, they will certainly come back and do it again, because the carnal mind can never inherit the kingdom of heaven. That's why the Bible teaches us to walk in the spirit, not in our flesh. When you learn spirituality, you learn it as the ego. The ego is what brings out the devil in us. We can either turn towards the devil inside of us, or God. Those who choose to reject fear, religion, and embrace love, Christ, and the kingdom of heaven, they won't be able to be forced into another low vibe incarnation. Oh shoot. Hold on. My thumb just touched my screen, and that was not good. Those who choose to reject fear, religion, and embrace love, Christ, and the kingdom of heaven, they won't be able to be forced into another low vibe incarnation after death of the body. The pants don't fit anymore. They fall off. So I refuse to soften this, just as Jesus refused to soften it. If you live by the curse of the law, fear, death, religion, doctrines, superstitions, traditions of men, etc., and you push it on others, and you will if you push it on yourself, because that's who you've chosen to be, you will absolutely 100% die and return to this very hell that you've created for yourself and others. It's a school, and you can't graduate and move on until you pass and change your spiritual configuration from a fear signature to love, truth, Christ. Read Galatians chapter 3 and the whole book of Romans and Hebrews and 1 Corinthians 15. Okay? Just like a magnet card reader, your frequency, so signature will be read upon the death of the body. And if it's still stuck in religion and fear-based vibrations, access will be denied to the next level, and you will return to repeat the hell you carry within you on earth. And you can argue against this all you want, like a child having a fallout in aisle 5 because he's not getting his way with his preferred and illusionary version of things, but reality doesn't care about your feelings, and it doesn't care that you won't stop to deeply examine your program habits of reading the Bible like an Encyclopedia Britannica or a cheap newspaper. And it doesn't care that you won't wake up to the fact that 99.9% of the Bibles out there have been falsely translated in many places from the original Hebrew and Greek by fear-filled, religious-minded fools who worship a carnal sky daddy, Romans 1:18-25, in the image of fallen man, rather than aligning with God in truth as the eternal, invisible creator of all that is, was, and ever will be, who does not dwell in church buildings made with hands, Acts 7 and Acts 17, but only dwells in the real temple, which is you. We are the temple, our body. That's so powerful to really grasp, to truly grasp that. Okay, where was I now? Which is what keeps you in bondage to the God of this fallen world. 2 Corinthians 4:4, in his religious and government systems of bondage, of fear, shame, guilt, and condemnation. And this is why you fall for the way that seems right, but the end thereof is destruction. This is why you push fear, shame, and guilt and condemnation on others, because you carry it around in your soul, unwilling to detox from the addiction of Satan's drug called religion, of which all are freed from in Christ. He who the Son sets free is freed indeed. I'm free, and it's amazing. John 8:36, and those have control and ownership over the title deed of their soul are the only ones who are truly free in Christ. The rest are living a lie, professing a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. 2 Timothy 3:5-7. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. They are the only ones who are fallen from grace. It's a sad state of affairs, but fortunately for them, no matter how long it takes and no matter how hard they fight it and cling to their fear-based religious addiction, and no matter how much they sling that acid at others, Christ will never forsake them. Christ will not forsake you, nor leave them. He leaves the 99% to go after that 1%, and he'll never stop until all are returned to the kingdom of heaven and no longer have to return in endless cycles to incarnate and repeat the hell of fear, shame, guilt, and condemnation, which are the four cornerstones of the religious drug they're addicted to. In the end, love, God wins. That's really an amazing writing he wrote. And I wish my prayer is that all of you would grasp this, because the church, the pastors, all of us have been programmed to lies that began during I mean, it's been like that forever here on earth, but during Jesus walking the earth, here down here on earth, showing us the way, Jesus never said we would go to hell and burn. Our hell is within us. It's what we either look to Satan inside of us, or we look to God inside of us. And that is where you get your freedom, not saying some kind of ritual that makes you think you're saved, and then you just suffer here on earth till you die and you go to heaven because, oh, I did that ritual. I invited Christ into my heart. But it's very difficult to grasp this. I understand that. But it is what it is. You will keep coming back here over and over and over. They say the average times that we incarnate back here to earth, each of us come back about 200 to 250 times. And when we go over to the other side, our body dies. We remember everything, and we bring that into the next life. So me and many of us in this great awakening, we are expecting and looking forward to a new earth, and we learn to live that here, no matter all this bullshit that's going on here on earth. When you grasp this, you can still live an amazing life. I've been living the best time of my life the last 5 years, and look at how everything's getting. It's horrible, but not for me, because I do my meditations. I spend time with God. When I spend time with God and I get closer and closer to God, He speaks to me in my thoughts. And I don't worry about shit that's happening in this world. Yes, there are times when I'll be triggered and something will happen, but all I got to do is go into a meditation, connect back to God, and all that fear is wiped out once again. So no, I don't fear. So that's my prayer for you all today. And why I mentioned forgiveness of your father is, I understand God tells us that He knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb. He knew us. This down here is not all there is to us, y'all. We were a spirit in up in the heavenlies before we were implanted into our mother's womb, and we knew God. God sends His spiritual guides, and we go over a blueprint of what we're going to learn here when we come to earth. When we come to earth, because earth is a school, and that we go through all this good stuff and bad stuff, and it strengthens our soul and makes our spirit stronger. That's the purpose of coming here to earth. And so I knew before I was born what was all going to happen. So that takes out the victim mentality. And that's a huge freedom to me. So each year I've grasped that. It's easier and easier to think of my father. And I realize in other past lives, I could have been a man, and I could have actually been abusing kids here on earth. And then I come back to earth because I didn't get it right then, and I come back. So now I'm experiencing that now. So I get the schooling of both sides. When you look at it that way, yes, it's hard to grasp, but once you grasp it, it's easier to live your life here on earth and experience heaven. That's the most amazing things is to experience heaven while all this bullshit is going on. And I thank God I'm able to forgive my dad more and more, and my mother also. I love all of y'all, and I pray that y'all will learn how to connect with God yourselves. Thank you.